about 3 hours earlier than normal. Well, at least we have the tent. And it's going to be kind of mushy out there. It rained last night. The crowd is gathering. Got Rich here.
Hi. Cut.
Ready to operate CW and get that extra 100 points.
I'll work the slow speed contacts.
Record it. 9:35. Buck is here.
Gotta be a fun. I've been ready since 8 o'clock. My truck driver wasn't there. Dad, put that TV camera down and get to work.
Hey, I am working. Work fascinates me. I can watch it for hours. Well, here we go. There's Doug and Bill putting up the satellite antenna. 4080 dipole tower is up and they're stringing the wire. The tent's coming up. Another 4080 dipole. Back in the back there is the generator. It's all set. We got quite a crowd. More folks. Plenty of folks. The only problem is, looks like it's going to rain. It could rain any minute. We'll just have to wait and see. Showers predicted for today, so we probably will get some.
It's correction,
this is our
1
new
Alpha
logging
Delaware.
computer.
You'd understand me if he got on the frequency. K3 QBD is
How many contacts we got now in 4 hours?
411.
411.
This is K3 QBD.
This is a truly a record-breaking performance.
The Whiskey Papa station, copy 1 Alpha Delaware. He's standing right behind me, recording all of this for posterity, whatever that means. KJ4 Whiskey Papa, I copy 1 Delta South Carolina. You copied 1 Alpha Delaware. Thanks for the contact. QRZ Field A. I'm losing my voice. The Kilo 3 station with an X-ray in it, copy 1 Alpha Delaware.
1 Alpha Delaware, my call is Kilo 3 Romeo X-ray Kilo. You are 1 Echo Maryland, 1 Echo Maryland, over.
QSL, the 1 Echo Maryland. Thanks for the contact. QRZ Field A from K3 QBD.
Norway Charlie Delta.
Norway Charlie Delta, 2 Delta. Copy 1 Alpha Delaware.
Roger, roger, copy 1 Delta, Southern New Jersey.
Roger, I copy 1 Delta, South New Jersey. Thanks for the contact. QRZ Field A.
How many contacts you made on Paquette now?
Me?
Well,
I made 2, you made 1, and he made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
all on HF?
2 on VHF.
Only 2 of those are VHF. Well, that's not too bad for HF, for a free transmitter. And over here we got the satellite station that is yet to produce for us.
We're going to be in the infamous field day movie.
But it's going to get us another 100 points later on this evening, I think. We'll see. Here's Doug, outstanding in his field.
Yes, this is my field.
That's quite an antenna array we have set up there. We've heard Oscar 10 and Oscar 13 on it. We haven't worked them yet, but we will before too long.
And we're waiting for Oscar to call us.
Okay.
Except on the first.
The W3 Papa
this is
station,
the
give me your
log
call and your section, please.
coming out of the printer. And that's just the first 4 hours.
You can give it in phonetics, son. Never got it.
Just wait until we get this thing going. We may
It's
have
Papa
10 feet
Sierra, 2 Alpha,
log
Eastern
here.
Pennsylvania. Copy 1
Preferably
Alpha
more.
Delaware.
Yeah.
And it's Kilo 3 Queen Baker Dog. Thanks for the contact. QRZ Field A. I got the correction. It's Whiskey 3 Tango Sierra. QRZ Field Day from K3 QBD.
Corrections are rough.
November, Japan 1, Yankee.
November, Japan 1 Yankee. Copy 1 Alpha, Delaware.
QSL, please copy 1 Delta, Eastern Mass.
I copy 1 Delta, Eastern Mass. Thanks for the contact. QRZ Field Day from K3 QBD.
Here we have Dave Drew, the current record holder for the club. Until this year, it was 67 contacts in 1 hour held by Buck Rogers. That was done a year or two ago on 10 meters the last hour of the contest.
An impressive record it was.
And it was. And the first hour today, you worked how many?
I don't know.
36.
136, almost 2x.
Is that all?
In fact, that's more than 2x.
I think it's a personal record for me.
I think it's a outstanding record all the way around. It's amazing.
Well, I've been practicing speaking fast.
Is that it?
Past year.
Is that right? Well, you make toy commercials and speak very quickly. Is that it, or
That's right.
Modern technology.
Modern
sure
technology helped a lot.
is that right? We're
Yes.
using the same old rig we use, and the same old antenna. I mean, what mod? Oh, you mean the computer?
Well, the computer.
Oh, the
And you
computer.
see, in past years, I was afraid to work too many stations per
I
hour
see.
because the boys couldn't keep up with me.
I see. Okay.
But now that we have the computer, I'm no longer worried about that, so I can let myself run free.
Oh, well, great. But anything else besides a motor mouth and modern technology that you attribute this to? Conditions?
Constant practice at home.
Constant practice.
Yes.
Conditions have nothing to do with it
Absolutely
whatsoever.
nothing. The
I
band
see.
could be dead and I'd still make
You'd
the same
still
number.
make 135. Okay, well, all right.
I think I hit the dial. CQ. I can hear CQ Field Day.
This is our satellite station.
CQ Field Day.
Just made its first contact for 100 points. They're trying to make more.
Kilo 3, Quebec, Bravo, Delta. Kilo 3, Quebec, Bravo, Delta. Field Day.
AA4MD there at the mic. And K3KHZ assisting.
Something happened there. Kilo 3, Quebec,
The rest are
Bravo,
gravy.
Delta.
How we doing?
Pretty good. Thanks.
10 amps at 12 volts. About 10 amps. That's only 120 watts. How long can I generate 120 watts? One! Only 4 more to go! You're a tenth of a horsepower, which is 74 watts.
Maybe we could hire you and you could run my rig at home. Think you can run the amp too?
Oh, I don't know. Well, hang on here. I'm doing all right. This field day team will go to any length to make extra points. Are we there yet?
Not yet.
You got one contact. Still pushing about 10 amps there, Chet. As you watch Chet in the natural PowerPoint, sweat dripping off his brow. Hurry up, Bob. Get his tongue out of the spokes.
I need a Pepsi.
I could use one, actually.
You're still pulling 10 amps back there, Chris? We don't have a very good fit to that wheel, but it's about the best that we could do. How many? Still one.
You have one or you need one?
No, have one, need 4.
Oh.
Hey, Chet had me.
Hey, Bob. Bob was the natural power source for the last 4. No, I only made one contact. This is kind of the aftermath of the natural power effort. And we had to deal with an awful lot of Murphy, but we finally got an alternator connected up to the bicycle, generated about 10 amps into the battery, and that ran the rig at somewhat lower than normal power for one sideband contact and 4 CW contacts, enough to make the natural power credit. Congratulations, Bob. You did a great job.
Kilowatt 3, Quebec Bravo Delta.
India Yankee WA Kilo 1. Whiskey Alpha 1 India from KD2A. 1 Alpha Western New York. 1 Alpha Western New York. QSL. QSL, please copy 5A Eastern Mass. WA1I. QSL, and good luck in the contest. CQ Field A, CQ Field A from KD2A.
Kilowatt 3, Quebec Bravo Delta.
Kilowatt number 8, Bravo Lima. Bravo Lima station again.
Well, it's tough on sideband when they start getting milked out. How many contacts we got over there, Ron?
836, 835.
835 right now. Not bad. In fact, a new club record. And we still got 2.5 hours to go.
Adverse conditions starting here with the last meeting. But this is field day 1990.
Sorry to hear it's over.
It ain't over until the fat lady sings, and believe me, if she sings like they did last night on that game, we don't need to hear her sing. Did anybody see that? The clip?
Yeah, I saw it on CNN.
I started a riot.
All the windows of the stadium up in the super box.
CQ field day, CQ field day. You understand?
Never heard that one.
Well, things do happen.
That's Scotty's favorite.
And in doing up these little gadgets, I use the Harvard graphics, and I'm not a real expert at it yet. I've just been using it a few times, and I asked it to print out some things, and I didn't correct all the size numbers.
That's K3QBD, all.
Field day conditions, guys. Here's what it looked like.
What the hell is
Well,
I won't even ask.
that was K3QBD. This is K3QBD with this at size 20 points and that at 205 points.
What language is that?
Actually, there's a K there, and I don't know what happened to the Q, but the B got squashed, and there's the 3. All of the letters are really in there. They're just a little.
Moving right along.
Field day conditions, guys.
There's our new QSL card.
That's an idea.
From Delaware.
Okay, now here comes all of the data.
Let's get serious.
Let's get really serious here.
Dave already knows the result. That's the reason he wants to be quiet. Oh, we didn't do anything on 160. We're in bad shape.
Well, you notice that all of the work was pretty much right here on these two bands, and for the last couple of years, 40 and 20 have been the working bands. It's been a few years since 80 was really big, and even 10 meters, which usually produces something the last couple hours, wasn't too great this year. 15 meters, which has actually been open when we tried. Whoever tried, I don't remember who it was, but they only made 3. It was dead. So there were some problems on the bands, and you might wonder when you see some of these other reports whether or not the bands were really open after the first 4 hours, because there were some real problems there. And the first 4 hours, as you'll see from some of these things, we've really turned them out.
Bob, could that have been our problem, or was it a band problem that 15 and 10 did?
I don't know.
The operators could have been dead.
The operators could have been dead.
The beam could have been
You were
dead.
sitting there with me on that 15.
I don't know. That's something to think about, because these usually are good producers. The last 2 hours, I remember wasn't it last year when I set 64?
Yeah.
We were working all of California, and that was on 15, I believe.
10, wasn't it?
It was one of the higher bands.
I think 10
It was 10, yes, I believe it was 10. But the
10
cycle
was
is not good right now, and it should
No.
be. It should be good.
I would think that,
It has sporadic days.
somebody on one of the bands would have mentioned something, whether the high bands were dead or not.
Well,
has anybody heard any
I
comments?
haven't heard anything, but there wasn't much that we.
We were listening on a packet to 10 most of the day. And using a lawnmower most of the time. I said we were using
we were listening on 10 meters most of the day, you know, on and off on packet. Sometimes with a long wire, sometimes not. And you couldn't hear the bulletin boards that are consistently there.
If it would have been open, you would have.
Yeah.
So
And 15 wasn't
it
anything
was-
to write home about. We didn't hear any packet on there at all.
Well, what I'm questioning is, do we have a beam problem that we ought to
Well,
work
that's
on?
we were using the beam for most of that, but very well could have.
Scotty,
That's something we should probably look at before next field day, is whether or not the beam was working well. Okay, there's a piece of new business, okay. And of course, our usual antennas, the thing that's concerned me the last couple of years, we've had very little contact on 80. And 80 should be good during most of field day, and it hasn't been, it's been 40. It's not our antennas on that because we're using the same antennas.
Last year, in the middle of the night, 80 was good for me. Whether no one
That
tried
was,
it.
that was the only time of the day it was good last year, because 80 was notoriously bad last year too.
The night of field day, we had a thunder and lightning storm. And,
Well, forget 80.
yeah, I mean, the static crashes were, at the end of the meter, and the static noise, you know, the noise floor was about, S9 or higher all the time. The only ones you could hear were the ones that were home running the kilowatts. How were vans in the middle of the night, Doug, when your dad operated?
Little noisy. 20 was packed.
Yeah, well-
There were signals all across.
It's quite obvious.
Yeah.
40 and 20 would look
Well,
like
20 on CW wasn't too bad considering, but 20 is usually a good producer too. Do you remember what antenna you were using? Use the beam?
Yeah.
Does that speak for the beam or doesn't it?
Well,
Not
Uh,
necessarily.
20 doesn't amount to anything on 10?
It uses different elements and
Okay.
it has different coils.
Okay.
You don't happen to have a breakdown by band by hour, do you?
No.
Which hours, what band was worked, so we could follow the...
The printout gives that, yes. The printout will give that because it gives the time and the band that you're on. But I didn't do any stats on that. If you want to do it later, I'll give you a copy. Anyone else have any more comments about this? By the way, notice that for you brass pounders that the CW contacts is considerably less than half of the sideband. Okay,
And how much
just
time
know
does that represent, though?
What does that represent? Well,
Time.
we had time. We'll give you the time on that later.
I mean, you know,
But the amount of time, during the first 4 hours wouldn't have made any difference at all.
that's right. In terms of total QSOs, in past years, how did we stack up? You had
The
896 this year. Past years we've had.
we had 200 more contacts in the sideband than we've had in any recent year, and at least I checked 2 years.
Here's last year's report.
You got last year's?
I think that first hour could beat all the records anyhow.
Let me flash this back up there, Scotty. CW contacts were what?
392. Now that's
We're down by 150.
Packet.
That's essentially
And
what.
phone was 485.
Up by 150.
That's 200.
There's a difference.
485, 100, about 150.
200.
I have 685 years total phone.
Pardon?
Total phone for this year was 685.
Yes, but the number you have is totally different from this. That includes packet and satellite and some other things. This is just these bands. There are other contacts that aren't listed in here. They were extra points. Okay. So the sideband is only up by 150, and the CW is down by 150.
Part of that, though, is that we operated less CW this year than we've operated in years past.
Is that right?
That is right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That way you can come up with a QSO per hour.
Plus, I think we lost the CW portion during the generator and I think the
During the
storm
lightning.
came by.
We didn't go to operate in town of lightning, we had to operate on top of the table, to keep everything from getting.
Anybody have their calculator here? Because when I put the next one up, I want you to
Go for it.
to add up the QSOs, or the time rather, for CW as opposed to the other one. Okay. Okay, let's see.
What are you gonna want?
The first 2 hours, actually 2 hours and 24 minutes, Dave made 287 contacts. And
Hey, Bob.
is this your call,
Can I
Fred?
ask you a question? How come, like, yours and Dave's are like real big up the top and we're all kind of...
There's a real reason for that, by the way. It's called the Keystone Effect. Figure that one out. Well, if you want to put it like this,
fly can do what he wants to, right?
He did the work.
Actually, the others were so small, and you worked such short amounts of time that Dave and I were the only two that made large numbers in 2 hours. If you look at the rest of
your
it.
computer.
Well, I didn't do this on a computer. After the thing came out this way, and in addition to that, he worked at a different hour. This was the last 24 minutes. This was his first 2 hours. I worked 1 hour 84, and in the second hour was 47, and nobody else. The next one's, well, like here's Ed, worked 69 in an hour and a half, and there was no other numbers that close. That's why the top ones were up there. Okay.
Well, Dave was on a pretty good roll at the beginning of that thing. It was
135 the first hour.
135 the first hour, which breaks the record.
Does anybody remember in recent years, our club anyway, working that kind in the first hour? We always did that the last hour. So the band was really...
On the first part, he always went in the first hour and they cleaned up in the first hour.
Yeah, but I've got the records, and Scotty never worked more than 60 an hour. And last year, in the last hour, I worked 63. So we set a record there.
That was the record.
And that was the record until this was set.
What about Jack Levant?
Well, the same thing was true back when Jack was here.
He never hit that number.
No.
He's really hot.
Yeah, he was hot, but I think the limit was we were doing it by hand. Last year, you guys couldn't keep up with me, so about 60 an hour is all we can write. With the computer, you can see what's obviously obviously possible.
Here.
What do you want? What do you want on
Well, I don't know, because I didn't know whose call this was and who this was. I didn't add them all up. There may be some differences here.
Rich is
Where's yours?
NT3.
Is this your call?
Rich is
Is this your call?
NT3.
Fred.
Okay, add those two together. That's 81 in 2 hours and 36 minutes, which is a little different. So he had 81.
You have one small discrepancy, though. You need to multiply all of the CW contacts by 2.
Points per hour
That-
is the number.
It's points per hour, not contacts per hour that count.
That's no problem. I didn't do that because there was no way of knowing who these guys were and so forth. Add those two together. What do you have?
What I have Rich, Fred, NT3, which is also Fred, and Dalton down
How many
at the
Fred?
bottom, for 272 minutes. They
Okay.
made 248 contacts. That's a contact every 1.09 minutes. Okay?
Right.
That's also 3.5 hours. So that leaves the sidebanders 20.5 hours to make 640 contacts. No, Chet, you operate also?
Chet's in here too.
An hour and 45 minutes.
An hour and 45 minutes. There's more in there.
How did you get to be Thunder Bud?
When I was president, banging the gavel.
Oh.
Who's this,
Like Scotty did.
That's Jim Lanahan that I was logging for.
Yeah, that was sideband.
That's sideband.
Did you get it?
Yeah, Blatch
These three and these two. Blatz was on CW, weren't you, Bill? Okay, there's those two. Anybody came up with a figure yet?
410 minutes.
410 minutes. How many contacts?
248.
Divide that.
It's not quite 7 hours.
You gotta remember the nitrogen one goes out trying to get maximum contact.
Got a figure yet? No.
1.69.
1.69. Now, because that counted for 2 points, how do we get the figure on that for points? Multiply by 2 or divide by 2?
Oh, multiply by 2.
Multiply by 2.
Divide the time by 2.
That's 7 hours of operating.
7 hours of operating.
That's what I said.
We've never had more than 7 hours of operating for CW.
Oh, I think we have, yeah.
What did you get
7
for?
hours operating.
Fred operated at least 4 hours that night.
Now, remember that because I want you to talk about that later, what you wrote in the paper.
104 contacts per
Remember
hour.
what you wrote? Remember you wrote it in the paper. Okay, here's another breakdown a different way, and I'm also sorry I didn't know whose calls was whose, so this is not as accurate as it could be. I broke these down in contacts per minute, how many were being made per minute, and of course the first 4 hours just blew everything away, and from there on this was about average. It went, if you'll notice, 69, 88. And 63 here. So about what 1/6 of a contact per minute. 16. Yes, I did.
There is a way to fix that.
This was the first hour, and this was the last hour. This is the order in which they appeared.
No, stand back here.
The keystoning is done by the machine there.
Look, if you turn it down here, it gets level.
Psychological warfare.
Hold the machine up over your head.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Is that better? You can stand there and hold it.
Actually, if you put it down to the bottom of it, the keystone effect almost. Sorry about that. It's not on purpose. This machine does the keystone effect too. It could even go down lower if you want it down. Okay.
Now we can't see it.
These are not in order again because I didn't know who IJ was, and I didn't know who. One or the other of these.
Fred was.
Here's where I put your calls with Thundercut because I thought that was his new call. That's it. I used to tell you to write better. I don't know who you are if you don't even tell me who you are. I still haven't found out who IJ and RC is. Did we clear that up?
It's Jim Lanahan.
Jim Lanahan. Who's RC?
Me.
That's you. Okay. You guys work 31.
Since you didn't know my name the whole field day, why should you know it now?
Randy, I finally learned your name.
After I left.
I don't know your initials. Okay. Anybody have any? Anybody have any comments about this?
Yeah, next year we'll have a sign in, sign out log.
Again, you got to take the CW contacts and multiply them by 2 to get a comparable score.
We'll leave that as an exercise for the reader.
Yeah.
There they are. But the big thing was this part from here down is fairly average. But look down here at the bottom. We went back to sideband for 30 minutes, and Dave was back up here above these other, even though you double those,
well,
except for one, let's see, except for Rich up here and these two right here, they still didn't top the sideband for the last 30 minutes. Okay? And this was, just eliminate that top part.
Next year, if you want to be top right,
But
do the first hour.
comparing his first hour, look at that. two and a quarter a minute compared to 6/10 of a contact a minute. So obviously the band was really great up here.
Well, I think one thing I noticed, Jim and I were operating right about sunrise, which is right at the interface between Thayer and the IJRC. And for the first hour, it was pretty dismal. I mean, you could hear things, but you would call and call, and you'd have to call 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, but look at Jeff in the middle there.
It wasn't me anyway.
But
Well, the fellow you were logging for.
If I may finish my point, Buck, I said the first hour it was pretty dismal, but just right about sunrise, you could tell the band picked up, as did the rate. I mean, we were following it, on that rate.
What does this indicate something, Karen? Because it went down decidedly, and then here's a big lobe here, and then it gradually got better down here.
Oh, some people are more relaxed than others.
That's possibly too.
I'd rather have fun, not make a living. What is that?
Well, no. I don't think you can necessarily analyze from one operator to the other. But my point was that it was the last 15 minutes of our section that things started to pick up because of the gray line. And the point I wanted to make is we may want to consider breaking that, that scheduling. You schedule it for 6 when the sun comes up. It may be better to have those people in place at 5:30 or something so they make full use of the run instead of stopping, changing operators, and that sort of thing.
What band was in use then? Would
I
be
believe
better
40
to have-
I believe 40 meters was in use at that time, but you'd have to go back and look at
Jeff?
it.
I wanted to bring this up because he mentioned Jack Novotny, who was with us years ago. And between Scotty and Jack, I logged almost every year for these guys. And there's a big difference in how you operate. Even you can be relaxed, Bill, and still continue talking. And a couple of things Dave mentioned are very good. When we started out, we had a clear frequency. We established ourselves on a frequency and stayed there for 4 hours. That's the number one thing. They know you're there. Second thing was working a station quickly and accurately and moving on to the next one. When you do that, you have a pile-up. And Jack Novotny used to preach pile-ups. You construct yourself a pile-up, or you find a pile-up and you get right off to the edge of him, and you take everybody that comes off of him and you work them. Okay? This is a working technique. It has nothing to do with being relaxed or uptight, and it has nothing to do with really being able to talk fast, although you have to do it accurately. So next year when we have somebody to train or to teach, I want him to teach the method of how to make 20 contacts without hardly saying a word. One thing is you don't have to repeat your call every time unless they ask for it, because obviously they've been there listening. And that was a good point. And that really helped too, because...
You're in the big contests.
Yes.
That's what the big boys do. They don't give their call sign every time because they know that if 10 people are calling them at once, they've all heard the call sign.
Not only do they all know who you are, they probably also already have your sectional information, the report. And unless they ask for it, get theirs and move on to the next one.
You have to exchange the
Well, when you move to the next one, you say who you are, and that's how you keep moving. So, and that's the way you did it most of the time. All right. Anybody else have any comments? Questions? Yes. We had a total of 286 contacts on CW. That includes the packet contacts and the satellite contacts. 685 contacts on sideband. Multiply those out with the duplication. The CW contacts come to 572. That made a total of 1254. Our 2 multiplier gave us a 2514, and we have 9 of the 100 extras, so it came to 3414, approximately 200 more than last year, I believe. Or was it? What was it last year? Was it 31?
Claim. 2538.
Plus how many bonus points?
Okay, 2538.
Yeah.
What?
Power.
2538.
Just count the boxes checked. How many boxes
For
are...
total QSO point, well, the total score claimed was 2538.
But that's without the
That's
bonus
without
points.
bonus points. So that bonus
3138.
3138.
Claim. Is it 100 points for each?
Each box check.
Each box, yeah. On line 12, what's the final number on line 12?
2538.
We actually had fewer point counts this year than we had last year. We had 2514 this year, 2538. That's a total of 24 points fewer this year. But we got 900 of those extra points, and last year we only got...
Wait a minute. Line 12. Total QSO points. 1269. Multiplier 2. 2538.
Okay.
So
the total point count was 2538 this year. It was 2514.
Had more bonus points this year.
We had
a lot more money.
What did we have last year?
6.
Okay,
6
we had 300 extra points. So that blows away everything we said before. We didn't do a heck of a lot better than last year. We're back to square one, guys. What do we do here?